Om Swamiji. Swamiji, can you elaborate on the expression of Sattva?
Lord Krishna talks about the expression of all the three gunas in the 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. But he talks about the expressions in a very brief way, not an exhaustive list. And he also says among the three gunas, Sattva is the superior most or the highest. And one should always try to increase Sattva so that one becomes more prepared for self-knowledge. And Lord Krishna also presents the three gunas in a way that one would find it useful to transcend the gunas and not be bound to the gunas. So he says Sattva expresses itself in the form of pleasure and knowledge. By knowledge, he means usually relative knowledge here. So knowledge of relative disciplines or knowledge of any particular aspect of the creation. That is because he says even though Sattva is good and in terms of the gunas, it is the highest, but still Sattva can also be binding. And absolute knowledge is not binding, but relative knowledge can be binding because it is endless. Pursuit of relative knowledge is endless. So even though he describes, he talks about these two descriptions, so it will be a good idea to have a little more clarity about the expressions of Sattva. So that's why we will pick up a few verses from the Mahabharata, from the Mokshadharma parva of the Mahabharata, and then see the expression of the gunas. And you can also find this list in the description of the video. The Mahabharata says Sattva expresses in the form of wisdom, joy, and then prosperity, satisfaction. Whenever there is a feeling of satisfaction, then that is an expression of Sattva. Brilliance in terms of being very intelligent in some way. And whenever one experiences happiness, and in the form of purity, purity can be both internal purity and then external purity, shaucha, and in the form of good health, contentment with whatever one has, and not being greedy, faith, faith and trust also, being generous, having a merciful attitude, the ability to forgive, kshama, having the determination to do something and not be deterred by difficulties or troubles, a commitment to ahimsa, non-hurting. Again, all these are expressions of sattva, and wherever this kind of behavior or attitude is there, then we can infer it as an expression of sattva. And it's a good idea to increase such expression if one were to evolve in one's spiritual journey. And then equanimity or composure in terms of facing life situations. Truthfulness, satya, lack of indebtedness, not unnecessarily receiving gifts from anyone. Because when one receives gifts, then one automatically becomes indebted to the other person. So, reducing the receipt of gifts from other people, having a very soft nature, being modest, not being boastful, being very calm, unperturbed, unagitated, and external cleanliness also. So, purity then can be taken as internal cleanliness because external cleanliness is mentioned separately. Being straightforward, there is one's thought, speech, and action are in one straight line. And performance of the required rituals, as mentioned in the Vedas, depending on one's stage of life. And being dispassionate, having certain amount of vairagya, that's also an expression of sattva. Being fearless, not being fearful of anyone or future or in any form, not boasting about one's one's noble deeds. Some people perform some noble deeds, but still they have the tendency to be proud about that, boast about that. What Lord Krishna also says, amanitvam in the Bhagavad Gita. And having only the minimal amount of possessions, possessing only what has been given as a gift, not unnecessarily hoarding things, and a lack of cravings in the sense of not being excessively addicted to anything and the inability to live without it. Being free of lustful behavior, so having one's sensory attractions to the minimum, and compassion for all life forms. These are some of the expressions with which we can recognize sattva as manifesting itself. Again, even though all these expressions of sattva are very good, and one should increase these expressions, but at the same time not get bound to it, because the eventual destination is to transcend sattva also.
Thank you so much, Swamiji.